Interestingly, there was a day I went to church, and one of the choir members was wanted us to finish rehearsal, even though we didn't know the song well, because she needed to get shea butter for her daughter. And I remember I told her that rather than embarrassing myself tomorrow in service, I'm going to bring shea butter to you. I think 2 weeks after that, she came and she said that was the best shea butter she has seen in Lagos. And she went ahead to tell every other woman in the church that if you need shea butter, come and meet DBC.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to the Adventures Podcast. Another exciting episode is here, and I am your host, Kunle Olufemi. It's my pleasure to bring you this exciting episode. As you know, on Adventures, we seek to bring you the stories of courage and entrepreneurial insight, right? Around the brands and the businesses that you see around you every day. We believe by telling their stories or having them to share their stories that they are able to, share with you their, secret, some of the things that worked for them and some of the, pitfalls that, they couldn't avoid. And by so doing, you are able to learn from their mistakes and hopefully you're able to arrive at entrepreneurial success faster than they did, right? That is the reason we do all that we do. And we hope and pray that in this new episode, you will find, a lot of inspiration. Today, I have an exciting guest with me in the studio, right, by the person of Mrs. Adebisi Odeleye, fondly called Debisi, right? Fondly called Debisi, right? And I'll bring her on in just a minute, but Debisi is the founder and the CEO of More Organics, right? More Organics is a Nigerian skincare brand founded in 2016. It's rooted in gratitude and commitment to safe, natural beauty. The brand name More is derived from the Yoruba word for gratitude, and its ethos centers on using sustainable African ingredients. What started as a DIY project with just 500 naira worth of shea butter evolved into a thriving enterprise with a diverse product line made from plant oil, fruit peels, and butters. More Organics now operates across Africa, emphasizing family-friendly, toxin-free skincare, and has, of course, been fortunate to receive some support from globally renowned and recognized organizations. It's my pleasure to introduce to you today Mrs. Adebisi Odeleye. Welcome on board, Debisi.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Like I said, to you before we came live or before we came on board, it's a pleasure to have you on board, right? And we really appreciate you coming to tell Nigerians your stories, and of course, a lot of people in diaspora also will be listening and watching this at some point, right? We are excited about what you do, and we believe that a lot of people will pull a lot of inspiration from it, right? So, the way we start on Adventures is, just basically, hearing from you um, what you do, right? The scale of what you do, just to give a little bit of perspective, and even more importantly, and I say this jokingly, right? You never can tell. Some of your customers may be on my timeline, right? So take this as as your unpaid advert, all right? On the stables of adventure. So I will allow you to do the introduction, and then we will go from there.
Thank you very much, and thank you so much for having me. My name is Adebisi Odeleye. I'm the founder of Morganics. It's a sustainable sourced beauty brand. Like you said, our ethos is centered around gratitude and, of course, empowering women at the bottom of the value chain. Most importantly, um, in 2014, that was where the story actually started from. 2014, I was pregnant for my first son, Momoreolua. Um, and I have a skin concern called xerotis cutis that basically bleeds during a matan, and it became really worse when I got pregnant and I couldn't use any chemical based or toilet soap. And so I was introduced to African shea butter officially by my mother-in-law. The interesting thing is, whenever I go visiting my grandparents, I would always use shea butter to massage my grandfather's body, and that's what they basically use. But I just feel that it's very boring. But I love massaging their body with it, but not me. And so when I was pregnant, I didn't have any option because Xerotis Cortis was really, really having a time on my skin. And so shea butter gave me a little bit of relief. And before you knew what was happening, 2 weeks after using it, my skin improved drastically. I wasn't having bleeding skin anymore. Um, Interestingly, there was a day I went to church and one of the choir members was wanted us to finish rehearsal, even though we didn't know the song well, because she needed to get shea butter for her daughter. And I remember I told her that rather than embarrassing myself tomorrow in service, I'm going to bring shea butter to you. So the next day, which was Sunday, I told her, just bait for your child. Don't worry, I'll cream her body by myself. I took it upon myself. I took some of the shea butter that I had, and I creamed our daughter's body, and I gave her a little chunk out of what I had as well. And interestingly, I think 2 weeks after that, she came and she said that was the best shea butter she has seen in Lagos. And she went ahead to tell every other woman in the church that if you need shea butter, come and meet DBC. I mean, I wasn't selling shea butter, so I had to call my mother-in-law. I told her that, please, oh grandma, I need shea butter, 500 naira shea butter bites, and when next you're coming to Lagos, bring it along with you. So with that, I made 1,000, I made 2,000, 2,000, I made 4,000, because I wasn't doing anything. I was just, as they are giving me in that nylon, I'm just selling it out just like that. And so that was how the business started. And when I made 4,000, I added 1,000 to it, and I gave her 5,000, and then I made 10,000. And at that point, I wasn't doing anything basically. And it happened that one of those days in church, it was on a Sunday. The sun was very wicked that day. At the end of the service, the shea butter had melted in the car. So it was at that point I felt, okay, what can we do now? Let's think of putting them in jars. Let's think of branding them. And I just looked around. My younger brother was living with us at that time, and then he was working with KPMG as brand, I think brand consultant, or it was in the branding department. At that point I thought of it that, come, you're in the same house with someone that is in branding and you've not branded this business. And so we sat down that Sunday evening, decided on the name. He designed the labels, and we started putting it in a jar. And of course, at that time, we started putting cost into it, and that was how the business started. Presently we've moved from shea butter to over 24 products. We work with different women across Nigeria and Africa in sourcing our raw materials, because we are very particular about the value chain. So we work with different women from Oshun, Oyo, even as far as Zaria, and Ogun State, and different, and even Mina, Niger State. I think presently we do about 10 states sourcing our raw materials. And beyond just even the 24 products that we have, we've been able to export to over 11 countries. And I mean, we are growing. So that's like the summary of what we do at More Organics.
Wow. Wow. I mean, looking at where it started from, I think it is super inspiring to hear this, right? Something that started as a pain point, and then somebody just without knowing put it in a position where you had to kind of give them some to use, and then it kind of just snowballed from that point, right? Because she went about talking to everybody, like one woman I recall. She went about talking to everybody and say, see what she has done for me, and it just went on and on and on like that. Now, a few questions popping up in my head, but if let me just try and calm myself down and say that, how many states do you have operations now, right? How do you go to market? And if you want to look at your customer base, what do you think, like how many people do you think you serve today?
Okay, so let's switch the question. I don't
Yeah.
want to look at it from the point of customer base. I also don't want to look
Mm,
at it from the point of revenue, because
okay.
interestingly, we had our audited reports
Mm,
recently, and I'm proud of how far we've come. But beyond that, let's look at it from the point of how many women do we empower. Presently, along our value chain, we empower over 500 women.
Wow.
Yes.
When you say empower, they say what exactly do you mean?
So empower in directly sourcing from them. Um,
Okay.
we are sure that these women are able to send their children to school. We are sure that they are able to afford a decent life and a source of livelihood. A case in point I would always share is Yashewa. Yashewa is our black soap seller. I had a meeting with her. I met her physically for the first time, I think, in 2016. And between then and now, she has comfortably sent her children, two of our children, I think, are graduates. Aside from that, she has also built a house. So if your supplier has built a house, it seems you've done something, And beyond that community in Osun State, we also have women in Oyo State that we work with. Few years down the line, we went to give back to teach them best production practices, and for the first time, we also hosted a pitch in Yoruba language because I mean these women cannot speak English as much as we do. So what we did was that we encouraged them to talk about what they do, their value chain and their pain points. And we realized that one of the challenges that they have is access to equipment. So we provided equipment for them that is helping them increase their production capacity and to standardize production. So I would like to look at what we are doing more from the impact side, as much as money is very important, than the profit side. So those are
No,
two instances of the empowerment that we've done.
I understand that a lot, and I really appreciate you, taking that lens. I remember, I remember one of my professors, teaching us about the triple bottom line, right? So basically saying it's not just about the profit, it's not just about the people, it's also about the planet and all of that. But you're not just looking at profit, you're also looking at the impact you're making on the people, and particularly the more vulnerable members of the society, right? You're empowering them. Not just doing what maybe what will be expected of you as a customer, right? You're going over and above, right, to kind of empower them to do better businesses. And I'm sure they are not exclusive to you, right? Because they have other people they supply to. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Wow, that's really cool. That's really cool. Well done, man. As we say,
Thank you.
well done, man. Um, Now, I have a question I want to, that kind of popped up in my head when in the course of explaining how you do some of the things you do or when it started, right? You said at some point you had some inventory in the car, right? And the sun was, I know sun in Lagos can be extraordinary once in a while. And then a lot of the products you had in car kind of melted off, right? And you probably lost money from just that single occurrence. Like, can you put like a number to that roughly? How much inventory you had? How much did you have to kind of write off in terms of inventory loss?
When we talk about inventory loss, see, on this journey of entrepreneurship, there are lots of inventory
I
loss.
can
But
imagine.
at the end of the day, one of the things we've learned to do is to standardize our processes. So I'll give an
Mm,
instance, the one you asked for, and I'll give you an extra instance of inventory
mm.
loss. So the first one, I think that day we had about 7 kg of shea butter back in those days. And this is in 2015, 2016. Shea butter kg was still going for about 20 um 1,002 per kg. So about seven, maybe like 14,000 naira. Because at the end of the day, you also bring um what the people want at that time. I don't know if you understand the quantity that is ordered for. It's not like you'll be moving inventory all around, just the quantity that people ordered for. I remembered, and so that was the amount that was lost at that time. But that same thing, if you transfer it today, a kg of shea butter is going for, I think, about 20,000 naira. So 20,000 times 7 kg, that's about 140,000. So that's about $100. But there was one instance that I won't even forget at all. It was when the business hit about 100,000 naira. Now we started from 500 naira, and it was just so exciting seeing the money multiply. And when we had 100k on our hand. It felt like, oh my God, we are making plenty money in this business. And so I remembered one of our family friends was into printing. I told him I wanted to print my labels, and he goes, oh, DBC, the more the merrier, the more you print, the cheaper the cost. Instead of printing one sticker for about 250 naira, if you print volume, you're going to print it about 20 naira. And of course, as a business person, who doesn't want volume, who doesn't want MOQ? And so, for whatever reason, he convinced me to invest 100K, the whole 100K into printing so that, we'll be able to have volume and MOQs. And as a newbie in business, I felt, okay, that's fine. We are moving fine. At that point in time, we've started supplying a number of supermarkets. We decided to print. Unfortunately, we don't have a system in place that checks what we do. So there was typographical error on the print. We didn't have our names and address on the print. And all of these things, we didn't even pay attention to it until the print came out. And I was like, okay, so how do we navigate this? There were typos, there was no address. How do people reach out to us? How do men? It was not funny. So everything, the whole 100K went down the drain. At that point, we decided that before any printing is done, aside from the fact that we are printing on papers to see, to ensure that, double checking it, we now have some people that also, the only thing they do is just to read through our prints to ensure that, there are no mistakes. And then we don't print 1,000 units for a new product. The first thing we print, it doesn't matter if the printer say that the MOQ is too small. The maximum we print is 20, especially for new products, to ensure that everything ticks the box before we now go and print like the volume.
Mm. And I think that makes absolute sense. You've learned by the things you suffered, right? So
In the hard way.
so sorry to hear about that. Yeah, I can relate with that story. I can relate with that story. Now, I told you earlier when we started that I wanted to give you like an unpaid advert, right? And I know that our viewership is still growing, right? So, but take it, with love from hers. Now, you mentioned that you have 24 products, right? Now, can you talk about a few of them? And if people want to buy you today, where can they find you?
Okay, thank you very much. So, apart from the shea butter that started, we now created, because we realized that some people, especially those in the diaspora, sometimes find it a little bit hard using the shea butter during winter. So, we created the body butters. So we have the luminous body butter, we have the succulent body butters. They are called the Body Shop of Africa because they're extremely soft, they are easily spreadable, and they have good fragrances and essential oils in them. And then we have the African black soap. Now, the African black soap, the unique thing about our African black soap is that it is pure African black soap. Um, and I say this with my full chest because sometimes, especially the bar soap was created purely from African black soap. After going for training for 3 years and doing R&D for 3 years, we eventually came up with the design for the bar. Not so we have the paste and then we have the bar. The bar because it's easy to carry around. The cost of production makes sense. Instead of importing some of our jars from China for the paste, we have everything being produced in Nigeria. And then we created the equipment as well that we use. We designed and created the equipment that we use in creating the African black soap bar as well in house. So the African black soap, it has shea butter in it. We have body oils, infusing different things that can enrich the African skin and skins in general, infusing our oils in Africa like the shea oil, the baobab oil, the moringa oil, a little bit of avocado oil and all of those things to deeply moisturize the skin. And then, of course, we infuse essential oils as well, like lavender oil. It was we have the relaxed body oil that has lavender essential oil, created for those in Lagos and busy cities like Lagos, New York, London, because it is always, they're always on the go, and sometimes you're stressed out. The relaxed body oil just helps you to calm down. And then we have the soothed body oil that has frankincense oil, because we want you to feel what Jesus Christ felt, the three wise men came to give him gifts. It helps you to concentrate, and it just helps you to be at peace. And then we have the beard oil for the beard gangs. We have lip balm, we have lip gloss, we have facial serum for helping people with acne and dark spots and hyperpigmentation. We have our body butters as well for those with eczema and psoriasis. So those are some of the things that we have. All our products, if you can hear us, hear what I'm saying, is deeply rooted in profiling solution for different kind of skin concerns, and also infusing the culture and the vibe of people that are the target audience of each of the products.
Mm. Thanks a lot for sharing that. And where can people find this today if they need to make an order? Where can they order some of this?
So we are online. We're on www.moreorganics.com. We are also
Okay.
at Instagram, More Organics, MWRE, then Organics. You would see
Okay.
us there. If you enter into our DM, we are there. If you reach out to us, on our website, we are there as well.
And you ship globally.
Yes, we ship globally. This year we've shipped to 5 countries. The
Mm.
UK, the US, Canada, Algeria, and
Mm.
Namibia. Oh, and Uganda, before I forgot that. Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, there you have it, people. Right? You've heard everything the products can do for you. I'm not even going to make an attempt at trying to trying to repeat all of that. I'm going to, blow it up, right? But you know where to find them, right? I encourage you to please check them out and see. Do yourself some good. All right. So back to business. Back to business. Now, Debussy, I know one thing is to kind of, you came up with a product, right? It was a pain point. Somebody recommended it to you. It worked. You gave it to a friend. It worked for her. And she went about talking to other people, right? Maybe a handful of people, maybe 50, maybe 100, right? Now, that does not necessarily translate into a viable business concept, right? Because you can still do all of that. You'll see a handful of people that will be able to use the product or want to use the product, but that doesn't mean it's worth your time, is what your effort, so to say, right? So it's solving some problem, but is it something that we can scale, so to say? My question to you is, how did you navigate that turn, or how did you manage that transition from just providing this for a couple of people that had need for it, to really thinking it through to say that, what, it looks like this is it, right? Because full time now, this is what you do, and it's become even bigger. You're empowering people, you're shipping to all over the place, right? At some point you made the decision to say, it looks like we're going to tell we're going to kind of, rail both here. We're going to just sit down here and build this out because there is so much potential. How did that happen?
Okay. Thank you very much. So, um, I got married. Let me give you the backstory. So I got married in 2013, and one of the things my husband and I decided was that the first 5 years. So my husband was like, babes, I need you to calm down. The first 5 years, can we have children? And then after 5 years, you just focus on building um, your career. So I read estate management. He also read estate management. And we already have a second generation estate management estate firm that we are supposed to be managing together. And so the first 5 years was when, it was in the pregnancy in 2014 that More Organic started. And so I was just doing it by the side, still waiting for my 5 years to be over to go and resume, you know, in Beyond Odeleye and Co. But something happened in 2015. I had just gotten married, I just given birth. I was coming from the market. So on entering into my street, I had the grocery materials in my hand. One of the young ladies in my neighborhood saw me, and I think they were just looking at her, who is this tiny auntie that just got married? And so she came to meet me, I knew she wanted to be close to me at that time. And so she was like, oh, auntie, let me help you. I mean, those days, even though it's just like 2013, 2014, 2015, we still have people like that kind of reach out to you that they want to help you. We still had that culture, of people just saying, oh, let me assist you. So that was exactly what happened at that time. And so she came into my house. On getting into my house, on my dining table, at that time we had just started rebranding now. So she saw the product and she was like, auntie, is this what you do? I said, well, yeah, I don't want to say I'm just whiling away time. I just say, yeah, this is what I do. And she goes, oh, I work in a supermarket, and I think your product is going to be good for our shelves. In my head, I'm thinking, okay. And she went ahead to say, we have shea butter in our supermarket, but your packaging is way better, you know, than what we have in our store. And she gave a clock. Please, when you come, do not do as if you know me. Just go and ask for the manager and talk to the manager, directly. And that was basically what happened. So she gave me the address of the supermarket. I dressed up, wrote a letter of introduction for whatever reason. I don't know why I did that. Wrote a letter of introduction and everything. And I went into the supermarket, met with I first what I did was I went round to see the kind of products that they had. And I came to the woman and I told her I met the owner of the business that day. So I told her, oh, I have shea butter for sale. And she looked at the products, she asked for the price and I told her the price. Of course, I'd done my research to know how much you were selling the ones at the store, so so I mean mine was even more expensive because I know that mine was better in terms of packaging and the cost that we've incurred. So and the quality because we source directly from those women that produce it. So we are able to be clear on the quality of what we're bringing to the market. And so she saw it, she liked it. And of course, like the supermarkets in Nigeria, they will tell you, they'll put you on SOR. SOR is sales on return until they finish selling before they would pay you back. I said, oh, that's not a problem. So I dropped it in the supermarket and in 3 days, so I knew I started with a dozen. In 3 days, they had sold out on it. And I got a call that, oh, we have sold out and we need another restock. So I went back and, because it was SOR, I was determining the price that they would be selling it for. And then I went the second time, less than few days down the line, it was sold out. And then some of those that bought the jars were reaching out as well to me directly. That, oh, we saw your product here and we want it. So with that, I was super excited. And then I went back to them. I said, see, this thing is selling out. So they also increased their price. So I went back to them and told them that, wait, you're not going to increase your price. The only way you're going to increase your price is if you pay me upfront. So you pay me my money upfront and then you can put it at any price you want. And that was how we started supplying supermarkets. So we went to that supermarket. With that, we had the confidence to go into different other supermarkets. And, some people would see it, some people would recommend their supermarket, some people would, I mean, that was basically how we were able to scale. Now, at that time as well, I wasn't really paying attention to the revenue that we were getting as much as, things were coming in. I was just putting it back into the business, using it for family things until 2017. Now, 2017, I was not around for, I think, about 4 months, and my husband had to handle, the delivery to the supermarkets. And when he delivers, he picks checks. It was at that point he felt, babe, you mean you are making this? What are you using money for? I said, please do not look at my money. It is my money. you know, 2017 was when, because there was a third eye that looked at it, or a second eye that looked at it and felt, okay, this is something that can scale. So he started encouraging me, oh, why not do this? Why not do this? And before I know what is happening, he was seeing the revenue that was coming from there. And that was how we continued to building the business. And in between those period, I think in 2016, after the business was registered, then Facebook used to be the place where people can write on walls. You if you want to, instead of sending DM wasn't a thing at that time. You can write on people's walls and then they can see, everybody can see what the conversation is about. So I knew there was a lady, I can't remember her full name, but I know her name was Victoria. On her Facebook wall, she wrote it to another friend that there's this scholarship by World Bank at EDC. She was telling her friend to apply. So I saw the message and I applied. And I got in 2016, ending of 2016, I got into a program sponsored by World Bank to called Women X by World Bank to study at Lagos Business School, the EDC, Enterprise Development Center. And getting into that space was a game changer for me. Understanding how to put a little bit of structure, even though we just started, understanding the dynamics, of being able to standardize your production so that you're able to increase your capacity when the order comes in. So 2016, 2017, I was doing that course. And then 2017, I got pregnant again and I wasn't really able to do business. So for 2 years, I was nurturing, I was nurturing my baby. And I was also looking for the fifth year that my husband and I agreed, which was supposed to be 2019. So I told him, um, we are almost there. And as if God had bigger plans for me, by 2019, there was this application by the US government. It was the first one. It's called Women in Academy for Women Entrepreneurs. Sorry, Academy for Women Entrepreneurs. It's a global project by the United States government at that time. So I applied for it and I got in as well. Now, getting into that program was another game changer because in that program, I learned how to pitch. I learned how to write a business plan. I learned how to communicate my brand story and all of those things. And of course, I got my first grant as well from that program. I got the sum of 2,000 US dollars. And in getting that money, I was able to register for NAFDAC. I was able to enter into more spaces. I was able to um, more confidently communicate my brand and sell more. And that was the point where you can have a good idea and then you're not able to scale it. So from 2016, when we registered, to early 2019, we're just bootstrapping. Whatever money we have, we turn it over. Whatever money we have, we turn it over. And by 2019, 2020, we got that grant and then we're able to get NAFDAC. We're able to increase, our revenue. And that was it for us. And after getting the grant in 2019 earning, by 2020, early 2020, we got another business grant from Swec Microfinance. That's Adosa Microfinance Bank. That as well was pushed into branding, increasing marketing, and changing some things in our branding and inventory. That in itself increased our capacity. And from there, it's just from one grant to another, one opportunity to another, one network to another. And that was how we've been able to, grow the brand and scale the brand.
Wow. Wow. Thanks a lot for all that you shared, because it's really interesting to see how a little incident or a little development, just a little chat with a little girl who saw you on the street, right? Felt like, you know what, auntie, can I help you? And I know that happens a lot, right? In a client,
Hmm.
can I help you with this? And then she got into your sitting room and then she saw this and she was like, you know, and then you tried that and things just kind of snowballed from there, right? I mean, it looks like coincidence, but it's an interesting coincidence, right? Don't we all need
Yeah.
coincidences like that?
So, aside from that, I also feel that there is also an angle that I think I'm not talking about, and that is the point of um being aware of what the word of God says. So at that time in my church, I remember my pastor he would always say this thing. The Bible says, whatsoever I lay your hands upon prospers. And the Bible did not specify what it is that you lay your hands upon that should prosper. It did not really specify that if you're in fashion or if you're in career or if you're in business. And so it kept saying that for, I think, maybe like for 4 consecutive Sunday. And sometimes I just laugh about it that it seems God just wanted it to register in my subconscious that, okay, whatsoever I lay my hands upon prospers. And so I think at the moment I got it, I kept repeating and having affirmation and things that I say concerning the business at that time. And it seems things started falling in place.
I see. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for sharing that. Thanks a lot for sharing that. Now, if I step back a little bit, right, before you before you started getting the grants and getting, I don't know if you have investors and all of that, right? You said you're basically bootstrapping, right? So it's all like self-funded. Is it family and friends, or just you and Uncle Odeleye just doing your thing? How did you manage to solve, as I said, the funding challenge of the whole initial setup and getting capital and all of that, especially when you needed to increase production to meet some of the demands coming from trade?
So it was just me and my husband, just bootstrapping. Basically, it was just me because it's more like it wasn't a business. You get what I mean? It wasn't. The idea was not to run a business. The idea was just stay at home, and then after 5 years you grow. So seeing that, it was basically just okay. I made this. I I I turn it over, I make it, I put it back into the business, I reinvest it back into the business, I reinvest it back into the business. So I did not get any money, any funding from outside till 2020. And by that time I had already made all my mistakes. I understand what is going to work and what is not going to work. And by the time the money came, there was a direct need for it and we're able to scale. Do we have investors? I mean, earlier this year, one of our customers that have been buying our products since 2016 called me and said, David, say I checked my account and I realized how much I've spent in your brand. Right now, I want to invest. and And just this week, I think it was on Monday, we had a conversation and I said, I know you said you want to invest, but I haven't gotten back to you because I also want to ensure that um I'm bringing people that understand the investment climb. I don't want to cheat you, and I also want to have all the cards on the table so that you can know what it entails. So right now we are working towards next year investment, and something major and something extremely, extremely bigger is coming up that we're excited about. Yes, so I mean, we're working on it already. So yes, investment is coming. We're excited about what is happening. The funding is coming. We can see the revenue that are coming in. We can see the impacts, at the bottom of the pyramid, especially with the women that we work with. But just even recently in Algeria, because there was intra-Africa trade fair that happened in Algeria last month, bringing I think about 132 countries were there. It was supposed to be for just intra-African countries. We were able to exhibit through the end. We were sponsored. More Organics was sponsored by UNDP, and while we were there, we were able to pitch. I kind of pitched for the cosmetics industry, and positioning the shea value chain as a major revenue stream for Africa, especially looking at what our government, the presidency policy last month that banned the exportation of shea nuts. And if it will interest you to know that shea butter, for instance, grows in about 21 African countries, that means that there is high potential in it. So right now we are championing more organics and some other brands across Africa are championing a Pan-African share line across the 21 African countries. So I mean, it's exciting to see what is also going to happen on that front, and in that line. So to show that it's not it just did not happen. It is basically based on believing in what we have in our hands that it can thrive and it can grow, and improving our processes. Along the line, we've gone to school to study more about production formulation. I tell people that every year I have two investments that I do. There is the business of the craft and there is the business of the business, because I mean, you can know the craft and not know the business side of the business. So we do that too every year, so that we are ahead of the game. We are able to learn well, and we are able to also position the business for impact and also growth.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. Thanks a lot for sharing that. That's very helpful. Thank you. Thank you. Now that takes me to my next question, right? And when you were sharing earlier, you mentioned that your husband started picking interest in the business, much more than before, when you were out of town for a couple of months, right? And he had to help you pick up checks and all of that. And, the question I want to ask is around how did you sustain, customer service, production, everything in your absence, right? Because I know a lot of, small businesses kind of struggle. And I'm not saying your business is small, don't get me wrong, but I'm saying that at the infancy, when you're not yet as big as you are today, how did you manage? What kind of structure did you have in place that helps you to be able to stay away for that long, and was able to help you just get things going? So, did you get the question?
Yes, I did. So one of the things that we um, started doing quite early is to look at data to make informed decisions. So how the idea is how many people did we supply last month? What's the projected supply that we might have this month? If what are we going to do differently? What parts of the year are we? Is there going to be an influx? Is there supposed to be a Black Friday? Is there supposed to be, all of those things? We put it into consideration. And I think this is also credited to the knowledge, the business schools that I went to in understanding these dynamics, the knowledge of the business side. So we're able to look at all the factors that can improve, you know, our revenue. So those were the things that were put in place in 2017. And of course, at that time, I had two staff members. So even though I was not around, production would always go through. We had a good relationship with our suppliers from the very beginning. So we are just like we are just a call away to tell them at that time our raw materials has finished, just supply us. But most importantly, we also batch produce. So it's not when people order for something that, imagine if it's when people order for Indomie or order for any of this or for any of these fizzle drinks that they produce. And one of the other things I also have is I have a good network of people, good network of people that I maximize their relationship. I have a good network of community that are also ready to see me thrive. Like I mentioned, my church is a very good place where I have that community. I also have a very good community of friends. At that time, one of my friends was working with, I think, Unilever.
Mm,
At that time, so there was a time she sat with me and she said, I want to know if this business is really making profits. Let us do a cost
financials.
analysis. So we did like a cost analysis. We know how much we were making. We know how
Mm,
much. So we looked at the container. What should we create? We looked at our SOP. We
mm.
developed an SOP. SOP is standard of operation. So we understand all of those things to a reasonable extent. So it helped us to plan, even while I was not away. And then there wasn't really a lot of things that I was doing in 2017. It was basically just maybe like a shea butter, a whipped shea butter. It wasn't as detailed and as more demanding as it is now, as more technical as it is now. Then it was just the basic ones, but we're able to scale it and then, we're able to, grow it from there. And recently, right now, we have like a format for our gross margin conversation to know cost per case. We're able to understand how these big businesses, they don't, it's not as if these big businesses, they have seven heads. It's basically thinking through processes. And I think that is what a lot of small businesses or growing businesses or thriving businesses or micro businesses should do. Because at the end of the day, they also want to be able to step out of the business and still see it thrive. You don't want a situation where you are an employer in your business. I don't know how. I don't have the exact word to say. It's like if
Mm.
you're not there, the business is going to
The business
die.
will not run.
It
Mm,
won't run. Right now, I'm here
mm.
right now, and then some messages are popping in. I'm saying that okay, some money is entering, some people are making orders, and it just
I
feels
like
good,
I
as
like
an
the I like the
entrepreneur.
feel of money entry.
Sometimes you're tired and then a lot comes inside and the tiredness is off, you're gingered. So I mean, that is it. So that was what we basically did. We weren't doing anything complex at that time. And even now that we are doing things that are complex, we have an SOP. You can't enter into the production room without knowing what you want to produce, understanding the batch size of what you want to produce, ensuring that all the raw materials that you want to produce is on ground. You don't have if you don't have all those basic things, then you shouldn't, enter into the production room. So those ones are supposed to be done outside of the production room. Then you have everything written out clearly so that by the time you enter and you're weighing it, it's just, a quick breeze in the park.
Mm, mm. Thanks a lot for sharing that. Thanks a lot for sharing that. Now, I have two questions for you, ma'am. Right. And one is just like a little piggyback on these conversations around production and standard. And I know that regulation or navigating the regulatory environment can be quite a challenge, for people, especially within the Nigerian space, right? And so I don't know if you have any word of advice for young people who are, new entrepreneurs who are going into production of, maybe could be food, could be skincare product, and they have to, because this needs to be kind of approved by the regulatory agencies before they can go to market, right? What advice would you have for them?
Okay, I would have my advice in two forms. First, regulatory body is very important, especially when you want to scale. Um, However, before you go to the regulatory body, you also want to be sure that you understand the products that are moving well. So one of the mistakes that I did, and I say it, is that I by the time I saw the money, I had the grants, and I knew that I needed NAVDAC. Um, I had seen some products that I know my products that were going well. And I also have a feeling that this product, okay, let me just get the NAVDAC, is going to go well as well. The mistake I did was thinking that product was going to go well. Now, for the one that was going well, NAVDAC is a fantastic. For the one that did not go well that I registered, now I've gone back to NAVDAC that I want to change I want to, is it possible to change the product? Change the product. So one of the things I was told was because of the form of the product. So if it was the same form, it's easier for you to change the formulation. But if the product was like a solid and now you or a paste, now you want to change to a solid, it becomes a little bit hard because of the form of the product, the velocity and all of those things. So in hindsight, one of the things I'm going to advise anybody that wants to go into regulatory, but especially when it comes to government regulations like NAFDAC, understand the product that is moving well. There is no problem starting with one product to register or two products to register. You don't have to register all four or all five or all six. Understand the ones that are moving well, register them, but still know that keep an eye on the other products that you have or the other items that you have so that you can now, if you feel that they are doing well, you can put them on shelves, then you can go back to NAFDAC. But if not, change it or look for the one that is really, 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 really doing well so that you are not stuck like I am stuck right now. But regulatory body is extremely important. We believe so much in having your books complete. Like I said the other time, we have our audited accounts, we have our business properly registered. Um, we do our yearly filing and all of those things, returns. So it's extremely important because even when opportunity comes, it is only the person that seems like they know what they are doing that really have access to all of these opportunities like grants, and all of these opportunities. So you want to ensure that your books are good. You want to ensure that your regulatory bodies are okay. Your certifications are okay. We also have FDA, as an organization. One of the things that because we supply to the US market, we are also registered in the US. Morganics is registered there. So one of the things we also did was to get the regulatory body of that country so that, we can easily um sell in that community. And lastly, just last week we had an ISO. ISO is another European certification. We had the gap analysis inspection like 2 weeks ago, and we are also looking forward to get that certification so that we can also export properly through the right channels, through direct exports to UK and Europe as a whole. So regulatory body is extremely important, especially when it comes to cosmetics and food. And everybody that wants to take themselves serious. I mean, you can start small. I always tell people that it doesn't matter where you're starting. Start from small, but have it in the pipeline. If it is 2 years down the line, 5 years down the line, you're able to understand the dynamics of your business. You're able to understand what people really want, so that those are the things that you are registering, and those are the things that you're putting. It's almost like you're putting your best foot forward to increase your revenue. Yes.
That's very clear. That's very, very clear. Just to do a little recap of my understanding, right? So people are allowed to an extent to start their business, to start some kind of production, right? And they can sell on a limited basis to the members of the public, right? Could be
I think
food, could be
this is a very dicey one because I cannot
okay,
categorically say that people can. But however, there is something called sampling in production. You also want to
okay.
sample
Yeah,
your
yes,
product
yes,
because
yes, 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 absolutely.
after your research and development, you want to sample your products. You want to
Mm,
understand what reception your product has. You know,
mm,
you want to ensure that your product is really solving a need.
mm.
Of course, if you don't have NAFDAC, you won't be on any shelf in Nigeria.
You cannot be on
A
any
lot of
shelf in
supermarkets,
Nigeria,
you
well, which
can't be
is
on
yeah,
any
which is
shelf. Do you
it won't take you
understand?
in. Mm.
Yeah, nobody's going to take you in. However, you're also able to understand what the market really wants, what is really working, what are your best products. I've been to a number of training with NAFDAC, and one of the things they would always tell you, have you done your research very well to know that this product, so you also want to do, so it's not more like you're selling, it's more of you're doing, carrying out market research to understand the viability of that product. Yes, especially for MSMEs. For big companies, I mean, you can just put in that money and then invest a lot of money in marketing. But for an SME, sometimes every kobo counts.
That's very helpful, Debussy, and thanks a lot for sharing that because I wanted to have that understanding. Never produced anything myself, but I know there are a lot of people out there who are thinking of something, right? Who are thinking of producing this, and this perspective will help them. And there are two things I want to kind of double click on or just pick on from what you said. Number one is the fact that you know produce it but test it with some people around you, right? And based on their feedback decide on what you will register with NAFTA, right? And then the number two thing I also want to pick from that, which is a little bit of a surprise to be honest, is what you said around the fact that even when you went to the training with NAFDAC, they were very particular. Are you sure this product will sell? Are you sure? Because the impression we get about NAFDAC is they are just like killjoys, right? People who don't want you to, who just want to take advantage. You know the way people look at government agencies. So for you to be saying that they are actually hard for us to succeed, right? And before, because they know the process is rigorous, they are also kind of, they want to be sure that, are you sure you've done your assignment, your homework, and this will sell before you go through all of that? I mean, it's really a good thing to hear from somebody who has been through that process and who knows that these guys are not just here to, they're not there to frustrate people, but to, help them even succeed. So thanks a lot for sharing that. It's kind of mindset shifting, I'm sure, for a lot of us.
I think that policy is academics, and that means that they are the ones in charge of the policy. However, I don't think they are proud that there are a lot of products that are not, properly registered. Does it mean that everybody in NAFDAC is nice? I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that if um, you're able to a reasonable extent, show that you know what you're doing. Because a lot of times we have some people that are not I don't want to use the word lazy, but they are not as detailed. It comes off as okay, you're just whiling away time. If you take your business like a business and not an hobby, there's a difference between the way you approach it. And another thing I also want to talk about concerning registration. Now, I believe that people should not run in silos. There are some people that have clusters. For us, for instance, at More Organics, we're already building our cluster such that if you are in the beauty industry, you can come and use my space to get your NAVDAC. I know a couple of people that are also in the food industry. If you're in the food industry, you can come and use, the person's space for NAVDAC. I know that a couple of people that does that, and NAVDAC will come and certify that space to be
Mm.
being used to be like a contract manufacturing area.
For that
So
other person. Mm.
for that other person, because if you look
Mm.
at the cost of running businesses in Nigeria, it is extremely expensive. Is it
Mm.
the cost of energy? You're on band
Yeah.
A and the band A is
Yeah.
no banding. The cost of fuel is something, the cost of raw
Yeah.
materials is
That,
something.
yeah.
Everything is not
Yeah.
adding up,
Yeah.
and you don't want
Yeah.
to incur that cost. Why not pay a certain
Mm.
fraction to somebody
Mm.
use their own space for your production. And that way you have your NAVDAC. And the other person is also looking at your processes to see how they can help you to ensure that it is standardized. That way you're
Mm,
leveraging, you're collaborating, and you're also
absolutely.
expanding.
Yeah, because you're not producing 24 hours, right? You're not producing
No,
24/7. So you have some
no.
like freed up capacity that some other people can leverage, and it
Yes.
comes to them cheaper. And mm.
Yes. For
And then,
instance, even
are
at
you
More
sure?
Organics, we do white labeling for organizations. There are some people that you don't want to go through the stress of manufacturing. You just want to have your label on it. There is no problem. Tell us your idea. Tell us what you want to achieve
Mm,
with the product. We develop the
mm,
product together. We send samples to you, and then you come back
mm,
to us after we've both agreed on it. We mass produce for you. And then all you just
mm.
need to do is you put your label and you repackage it yourself.
Now you've touched on something very interesting, right? That it's been at the back of my mind to ask you, but now that you you mentioned it, I just want to go into it. So, apart from product manufacturing, and it looks like you provide some kind of services, right? Now, what is the scope of that? Do you do some kind of consulting? Do you do, I know people that look at your skin and say, I'm sure you can look at my skin now and say, Kunle, you need to do this, that kind of stuff. So do you do that? Do you do this contract manufacturing? If people want to reach out to you, how does that work?
Okay, so presently we are contract manufacturing for three organizations, and those three organizations or three brands, they are not even in Nigeria. So basically what you do is you let us know what you want to achieve. What kind of products you're looking at. Of course, we are a natural skincare brand, so we let you know that these are the things. There are some things that you will not find in our product. You will not find bleaching, whitening, and all of those things in our product. So we make you know from the beginning, this is what we are, this is what we do. And so we work with what you want to achieve, and we decide on the kind of raw materials that you want. We consult on that level, and we're able to advise, on what we feel should work and what should not work. And then we send samples to you. You check, you tell us if you want it, if you like the velocity, you tell us if you like the fragrance that's or the essential oils that is in it. Tell us everything you want, and then we can produce what you want for you. And even if you want us to brand it for you, I mean, send your artwork, or we tell our team to design your label for you. We print it for you, and you just have your finished product. So all you just do is probably market it by yourself. So we have that aspect of the business. We also have the aspect of training. So we also do online training. That's digital training in skincare. That was one of the feedback from Algeria. So in going to Algeria for the longest time, we've been having people that would come in for training physically, but this time around, because the person was in another country and she was interested in learning, I have about three people that are interested in learning. So we designed the curriculum for them, and we're able to just send it to them. Okay, this is what we'll be working on for this period of time. And we started that as well. Aside from that, we also work with governments and organizations and private individuals, organizations that gifts. So the idea is we should be proud of our heritage as Nigerians, as Africans. And Africans, and we should push our products. We can't say that we want to build the naira, and not invest in homegrown country companies like More Organics or any other products that are indigenous. It can be adere, it can be infusing our culture and our story to our organizations consciously. So we work with organizations as well in creating gifts for them. And these gifts are basically, there is nobody in the world that does not bait. Everybody has their
Mm.
bait. Everybody cream their, not maybe everybody does don't cream,
Maybe
but
not
everybody have their bait. So
different frequency,
you
but
understand what I'm trying to say, but you bath every day. So
yeah.
our product, we toss it into gift items for government institution. There should be a box where it's an African box. So products like black soap, that like shea butter, like coconuts, chips that are very indigenous to us, like chocolates that are made in Nigeria, like African fashion, like the bags, the slippers. You want to gift. Who says that organizations should be gifting just jotters that they buy from China and they put their logo on it to their clients? Nobody says so. The idea is to gift. So why not gift responsibly? Why not gift ofada rice that is grown in Nigeria, to your community members or your clientele? So we are also pushing that in both the public and private sectors for organizations. So we create gifts for organizations as well, and we infuse our products in them. So that's another source of revenue for us. And then we also, because we have direct relationship with the women along the value chain, we also supply raw materials, especially indigenous raw materials in bulk, to those that are in the manufacturing space. So we supply them as well. So those are some of the other ways that we generate income. People would always say that have seven sources of income, have five sources of income, and then you see someone doing five businesses that are extremely at loggerheads. Well, for us, we looked into our business and we're like, okay, what are the ways we can get money from this business? And I mean, I've mentioned about five ways that you know we get money from our business, and that's it.
Mm. So everything's still within the same, basically the same sector, right? But you're
Hmm.
milking it in different ways to different target audience, and that's an interesting one. I'm sure there is a lot of lessons for all of us to learn from these. Now there is a trend, ma'am, that I want to check with you. Now it's the trend of you know how you manage, and I mean I've had an interview with another person, right, that I also saw that trend, and I think it's becoming a thing, so I want to kind of check it, like the combination of for profit with social impact, right? How does that work? Because what you do today in more organics, right, is for profit, but there is a social impact element of it, the empowerment of women and all of that. Because some of these organizations that grant and all of that, I'm not sure what they're funding. If they're funding the for-profit side of the thing, or they're funding the social impact of the thing. Number one, how does it work, right? And is that what is opening the doors to all these other global organizations for funding? I hope that is clear enough.
How we merge? You mean how we merge the profit
How do you
part
manage to
with the?
combine the profit side of the business with the empowerment and the social impact side of the business, right? And then how does that translate into, so if you come to me, let's say I am some of these funding organizations, for instance, and you come to me and say, I need funding, I need support and all of that. The question I will ask you is, but you're making profit. Why should I give you any funding? How do you navigate that conversation, right? So that they're able to see the bigger picture of what you're doing within the social impact space rather than the little change you're making. No, I dare call it little, but you can't
Okay.
take that,
That's fine.
but rather
There
than
is
focus
nothing
on,
small about more organics.
I know, I know, right? So I know, right? So I'm just trying to, because you don't want to talk numbers. So I decided to
Yeah.
also kind of play along, right? So,
Okay. So the first thing, let me start from the second question. It is not all funders that are interested in your social impact. It will interest you to know that. It is not all funders, because some funders, I knew I had this conversation with one of my friends like 3 years ago, and we were um we were having a conversation on assessing funds, you know, having access to some kind of, I think every year we have this program for people in our community called more beauty and vision boarding exercise, where, because I'm an aspirational person, and I think that is also spinning into my business. I believe that whatsoever I lay my hands upon, I prosper, and I want to be the best in whatever I do, so I am, that is part of my core, that is part of my values, you know now, I also know that there is purpose in what I am doing beyond the funding. Even before the funding started coming in, I'd started working with the women. In fact, before I got married, I'd started working with teenagers and youth. So I feel that is ingrained in my purpose. So, to a reasonable extent, I am just that person that I'm very particular about the people around me thriving and growing. So there is that part of my own purpose that I feel I am fulfilling. So it has nothing to do with the funding or no funding. If there is still no funding, I mean, we were doing the business for over 5 years and there was no funding and we were still empowering people. So the funding came on later. However, there are some institutions that really do not care about. You won't go and tell a bank if you need finance. You want to go and tell a bank and you're saying you're empowering people and you don't have no making profits. A bank is not going to give you money. They want to look at the numbers. So every business should know that money is extremely important. Cash is the lifeblood of any business. And so revenue is extremely important. So you are not saying that because you're empowering people, you're not making money, or you're empowering people so that you can have access to funding. I think that defeats the purpose um actually impacting people because of the ripple effect. That's for us. I don't understand the dynamics of that place, but for me, my purpose is rooted in empowering, is rooted in um aspirational thing. My purpose is rooted in making women as much as possible financially independent, because I think I grew up in an environment. I remembered one of our neighbors that used money as a tool, as a weapon to abuse his wife. And so for me, that was deposited in subconsciously in my I think teenage years or something. So that I want every woman to be able to at least fend for herself. I want every woman to be able to have a source of revenue. And so even if I'm not in maybe more organic, so I'm not doing more organics and I'm doing something else, probably real estate or fashion or whatever thing, this same thing most likely is going to spill, into it, because for me it is purpose. So it is not about making revenue or anything. Now I was able to work with women because number one of my curiosity, I wanted to understand, you know the value chain. I wanted to understand, it's very interesting how ordinary shea butter that is looked down on, became something very important to me. So I wanted to understand the science. Where did it come from? What tree is it? And that was why I remember we were planning for a burial of my husband's grandmother. And I just told them at home that, oh, I want to go to where they are making shea butter. So because of I said that, we all traveled together to Oyo State, Shaki, to go and, well, my people said that they want to go and buy elubo. Elubo is yam flour. Is a lot in that place. So all of us just did like a road trip to understand, to meet the women. And after going to Shaki, then I'd gone to maybe like five other communities in Oyo State, in Niger, in different places that, they make this shape, because I want to understand, the process. I want to be able to tell the story. I think from a brand storytelling part, I want to be able to communicate the value that the business brings to the table. So it was important for me to understand all of those things. It has nothing to do with, making getting grants. However, in the growing of the business, I realized that I wanted a level of consistency. And if I don't work directly with these women, I won't get that level of consistency. That level of consistency is going to increase our revenue. And I also thought of it. If we are believing God for expansion, how big is our capacity for that expansion? So I had to build a relationship with these women across the different states and the different communities. That's number one. So that when I have maybe like 100 tons order, I should be able to fall back to this community to be able to supply the for profit. But in doing that, even as an employer, your employees are happy when they know that you have their back, you care about them, you do this. For me, it is more about the quality of life that these women have. I don't want to be that brand that, oh, they are not happy working towards. I want to be able to be that brand that when I call them that I need 5 tons by next week, they will leave every other person's product and get on my work. So I had to build a solid relationship with them. And in building those relationships, I'm seeing the ripple effect also on their children. I'm seeing the ripple effect on their family. And I'm super excited that the business have just gone beyond just meeting a need to being a conduit of blessing, you know, to different households, to be a source of empowerment for livelihood for different households. And that is really, really core for me, even beyond the money. Although it is now showing on the money, but that does not, I have not seen it. I mean, there are some, it's not all the grants that I've applied for that I've gotten into, because there are some people that uses the metrics. We want to see your revenue. There are some people that uses the metrics. We want to see your social impact side. What this enables you to do is that you're able to manage your production line more effectively. um that is one thing that we were trying to achieve, and then all other things are falling in place. So if you now enter into business or enter into social enterprise because you want to be able to access loan or access grants, trust me, your heart will be broken. You have to have a heart for the people, and that is part of our own value system at More Organics. It is people, it is planet. We are very deliberate about all of those things beyond even the profit. But at the end of the day, it is we are seeing the ripple effect. But that does not necessarily mean that is what is, a lot of NGOs, it's not all NGOs that get access to finance, but the fact that we are able to see the lives that are being impacted, we are able to see the families that are being uplifted from poverty, it's a big deal to the brand. It is a big deal to the brand.
Wow. 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 I mean, thanks a lot for sharing that, Debussy. Your passion is contagious, right? Your passion is contagious, and I'm so excited to be having this conversation with you, right? You like an embodiment of the whole triple bottom line concept. Do you get, you live in it, and I really, I'm thankful for the opportunity to chat with you. I think if I recall correctly, there is a particular um management guy that wrote a book. I think is five forces or something, Porter's five forces, and one of the things he mentioned in that book is the force of suppliers, right? That suppliers can, as a manufacturer, as a business, suppliers can make your life hell if you don't know how to manage them. But you are living that. You are very intentional, right, in the way you manage that relationship, not just because you want to extract something from them, but also because you want it to be a conduit of blessings in your own world. And that is now having a ripple effect on their children, on their, possibly their children, their spouses, and all of that. So thanks for all that you're doing. Now, in the course of answering that question, you made a few tiny references to your growing up, right? And it occurred to me that we basically did not say, we've not had any conversation around your growing up years, your background, your parentage, and any possible impact of that on what you do today, right? Is this something you're happy to just double click on? I know I'm beginning to bring it to a close, but if it's something you're happy to double click on, that would be great.
Okay, well, I grew up in a family of four. We are just two children, a boy and a girl. My dad and my mom were civil servants, and I think God just gave me the best parents. They are extremely, extremely supportive. Extremely, extremely supportive. I remember they are my guinea pigs, when I started the business. My family was my guinea pig. And since 2014, from the sampling time till the time it was registered in 2016, my parents have not used anything. My family has not used anything apart from the products that we make. Um, Extremely supportive. My dad also introduced me to God, to trust God for everything. So it's just that family that encourages you, even though they were scared that, wow, what are you sure? What is this what you want to do? But right now, they've gotten to the point where they're like, oh, we are super proud of you. So that's my background. I schooled in Lagos. My nursery, primary was in Lagos. My university was at Obafemi Awolowo University. And from there, I've done different other courses. I've done course in Regent's Business School in South Africa. I've done Moody College in London, EDC, that's Lagos Business School as well. And I'm still in academics, trying to read, trying to, expand, my mind. So growing up for me was that space that's you are allowed to thrive. You're allowed to dream. There was no dream that I ever had as a child that was shut down. My parents would say, "Oh, do you think you want to? Okay, let's give it a trial." And then they would also encourage you. If they need to drop money for you, they would encourage you, and they would also pray about everything. I grew up in that house where you would pray about everything. I remember there was a time, even when I wanted to enter university, um, I'd filled Osu um, as my first choice in uni, and had submitted my jam form, and I think my dad traveled to Osun State, Ile-Ife, for a program, and he came back home and he said, "Oh, I passed in front of your school today," and I was looking at him, "Daddy, which school?" And he goes, "Oh, Ife, OAU." I said, "Daddy, I didn't feel OAU." He said, "What? What did you feel?" I said, "Osu." He said, "What is Osu?" Apologies to those that went to Osu. And I was like, "No way."
Me, Kayode, Osu people.
I'm sorry
so,
about
so be
that.
careful. No, just kidding.
Oh my god. So my daddy was like, "No, you're not going to also. Did you even pray about it?" In my head, I'm like, "Why would you pray about going to higher institution? You just go." And so my dad was like, "Oh, there's going to be 3 days fasting and prayer in this house. That God is going to choose your university for you." And I was looking at him like, "Okay." Anyways, we did the fasting and prayer. God did not speak with to me. Oh. It was my father that God spoke to. That it is OAU. And I remember that I asked God, I asked God for something. I said, "God, if you really want me to go to OAU, I'm going to go and buy change of institution form. By the time JAMB result is coming out, I want to see OAU first choice, OAU second choice in that result. If you really want me to go to OAU." Lo and behold, by the time JAMB results came out, the results OAU first choice, OAU second choice. So as I was going into OAU, I said, "God, okay, now that you want me here, what would you have me do?" At that times when at the times when I was having issues, especially with ECN and courses in social sciences, I'll just go back to the sports center to just pray, and tell God, "God, whatever it is, this thing has to be solved. You need to help me to understand this course." So they helped me to know God, they helped me to trust God, and they allowed me to dream as a child. Whatever it is that I wanted to, I explored. Wait, what did I do when I was young? Any holiday, Daddy, I want to learn fashion designing. Daddy, I want to learn this. Mommy, I want to do this. Mommy, I want to do that. Sometimes mom will be like, "You are just everywhere. Can you just be put together?" I'll be like, my dad will just say, "Allow her, allow her." And, there was also this thing that they imprinted in our heart, our ability to stand up for ourselves. That nobody is better than you. They might be more exposed than you, they might have more information than you, but they are not better than you. And you can be anything. So those were the things that I grew up in. That was the environment I grew up in. And I'm so grateful, super grateful for my parents.
God bless them. God bless them. God bless them. Thanks a lot for sharing that because, more often than not, as I have conversations with entrepreneurs, right, and I've met a couple, one of the things I've noted is there is usually this link, right, around between their what they do today and the extent of some of the things they're doing and some of the values they bring to what they do, right, that is directly coming from how they were raised, right, the kind of parentage and all of that, and you will see it in the values, you will see it in the conversations and all of that. So I always like to kind of double click a little bit into it just to have an idea of what happened, and also much more importantly to encourage new entrepreneurs, right? And to encourage people who may not be entrepreneurs, but who will get to listen to this to be careful how we raise our kids, because these things have impact in the future of the world, in the future of of this kid. So thanks a lot for sharing that. Now I'm beginning to kind of bring this to a wrap because I'm conscious of the fact that you need to get back and all of that. So just a few more questions, and we will call it a day. Now, did you ever, right? Because I recall the conversation, you and your husband got married, and then, but and then you had a timeline, and a business started, and all of that. But before then, did you ever work in a place where you like 9 to 5 or unpaid employment or something? Did you do anything like that in the course of your career, or it was just like straight into, you got married and then business started?
So because I read estate management, you would have 2 years in your fourth year and your your third year, you have to do internship. So I did internship, and then I did a lot of holiday jobs. Whenever there's holiday, if it is to be a secretary at some place, my father is going to get me inside that place, go and work 9 to 5. So there was all of those things as well. So I before I got married, I also worked. I NYSC period, I worked, before I got married, I also worked for some time. Yeah. So, and but in different areas, not even skincare or anything.
All right. And when you were going to start this skincare thing and it's beginning to look like, did you have fears of, "Ah, would I not rather go and do my, predictable 9 to 5, collect my salary rather than the uncertain waters of entrepreneurship? Did you have that kind of, like struggle? Or it
Yes,
was more like,
yes. No, there was that fear of, I remembered in 2013, 2014, I was having a conversation. I cannot remember who it was. And the person was like, so what's your, okay, yes, the time when I was doing fashion. So during NYC, I was working, and then by the side, I was doing fashion because, I wasn't with my family, and I was just trying to maximize the time I had. So every little time I had, I was just trying to be engaged, because that was what I grew up seeing. My parents being engaged, my parents working hard, even aside from their 9 to 5. So I was just trying to be engaged. And one of the things, the conversation I had then was, even if this does not work, I would dust my certificate and I'll get a job. There is always that fear of the unknown. I remembered even my fashion house then, my trainer, she would tell the other people, the other staff, because I feel when I enter into the fashion house, sometimes I go to a house like to the fashion house by 5, and I'm there till like 8, 9, because I just don't want to be bored alone in my house. And then she would tell the other fashion people, the other trainees, that see this lady, she has a certificate and she's doing as if our whole life depends on this fashion, and you are here, you're just whiling away time, So for me, I felt, I thought of it that, okay, if more organics does not work, I'm still going to dust my certificate and move on. But right now, it's almost 10 years, and it's
yeah,
super, super exciting to see
and
what
you didn't
we have
stop it.
done. And I did not, I did
You didn't
not.
stop.
So right now we are just excited about the next phase. That's it. Because the
Mm,
next phase is really, really exciting. And it's
no,
something that we are also looking forward to. I am really, really looking forward to it. And I
also.
believe that it's going to be a major one, even on the African continent. So we are really excited about it. And one of the things I've learned is, even though we started small, and we want it to be the story of hope. We want people to be able to look at more organics. We want Harvard Business School to come and study it and say business that started with 500 now has this, is doing this. For us, one of the things we hope to have is even having like a school in the community where we source or where we work, where we have like a school, we have like an hospital, we're ensuring that their children are doing well. You know, that's the bigger picture. It's not even this buying and selling that we are doing, even though we are making a few millions, and we're excited about it, but that's still not the bigger picture. The picture is having a business that, can be around for maybe like 100 years. That's the bigger picture. I can see a business, for instance, Beard Underlay and Co is going to be 40 years next year. And I'm saying, okay, if that is happening, more organics can also be something like this. There's the Coca-Cola that is around. I was at a business anniversary of one of Nigerians brand. It's a brand, a bag. Le Look. She did a 40th year anniversary 2 weeks ago, and I'm super excited to see that. You know, seeing how I can also build structures around it, seeing people that can own the vision and thrive on it and make it into something bigger. See Johnson and Johnson, see Dr. Bernie's and all of those brands, seeing them, and seeing an African brand do that is something that is exciting, and we absolutely look forward to it. So, are we afraid? Yes, but notwithstanding,
We're
we
doing
are
it
choking
afraid.
the fear. We are doing it afraid. We are choking the fear.
So
Yes.
glad to hear that. So exciting, so exciting, so exciting. Now, hmm, you've been on this journey for 10 years, right?
Almost 10 years. It'll be 10 years next year.
It will be 10 years next year, right? And I am sure that you've had your share of pains, you've had your share of people headaches. Like, how many people do you employ now?
So, right now in our factory, we have about 7 people, but
Seven
the
people.
different people that we work with are
Mm,
about 500.
500, right?
So,
So, like the supply chain and the farmers, and they will have people that are also probably working for them. So I get that. Now, so even for people that you have like direct every month kind of payroll people, right? In the course of 9 years or 9.5 years, I'm sure that you've had your share of headaches and pains and I'm wondering if you're at liberty to share some of those, right? And share some of your practices now in terms of people practices. Now, when I say people practices, I mean that how do you, I'm a young entrepreneur, I'm a new entrepreneur, my business is small, right? I don't have all the funding to hire consultants to help me recruit and all that. How should I go about this? I don't want to have high blood pressure because of somebody people coming to work with me. Do you get what I mean? What would you have me do, right? So if you can share a little bit about your pain, some of your pains in the past, and share a little bit about your people practices, I think people will find that very helpful. Now that is part one of part one of the question. The second part of the question is something you mentioned that I found very instructive. You mentioned something around how you cultivate the relationship with your suppliers, that you are intentional about that relationship and you're building it. Now, I know that, apart from the training and some of that, are there other things that you do, right, to maintain that close relationship and happy relationship with your suppliers, right, that other people can probably take a leaf from and also replicate in their home businesses? I hope it looks like three in one, but I'm sure you get it.
so for the people, so in case I miss any part, just let me know. For
All
the
right.
people practice, Nigeria employees will show you pepe. Because
I know.
Nigerian employees will show you pepe, especially if you don't know what you're doing. But when they realize that you know what you're doing and you're able to put measures in place, it helps. So one of the things that we do is that we have an inventory system. Sometimes I used to, there was a time I realized that we are stocking in raw materials, products are going out, money is not coming in. That means there's an accident along the line. What's happening? I mean, production now we can see the products and then we go back into the store. We can't see the products anymore. The raw materials is not there. They are not there. So what do we do? So the one of the things that we started doing is having a system where we impute all our raw materials into a system. So when you want to produce, because there is a production sheet, you subtract the raw materials from the production sheet. You make this thing for it.
A
You take
requisition.
account for it.
Mm,
Yes, you take
mm,
account for it. So we know who removed this product. And then
mm,
by the finished products are also there. We know the estimated revenue that that should generate.
mm.
We know those that are on ground.
Your cost
So there,
accountant have done all the
so
math for you.
so it is you cannot run away
Mm,
from it.
mm,
And there are also periods, so that in itself helped us to be able to regulate. So they know that one of us is going to bear the cost for this. So there was a time that I would just talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. We are sorry, we are sorry. Okay, no problem. But this time around, something happened. I mean, we've not gotten fully into it because at the end of the day, it is also humans being that we are working with. They are not robots. Something happened I think 5 months ago. We had a shipment to the UK. And for whatever reason, the person sent a product that was not right. It- she had the list of products, and the person in charge of logistics sent the wrong product, and then the product got to the UK, and the customer was like, "This is not what I ordered for. What I ordered versus what I got. This is not the numbers of the product." And there is checks and balance. When you have an order, check it, um ensure that you pack it before you leave the office to the shipping company, especially for international shipping. Check it again. By the time you are writing the filling the form at the shipping company, check it again. Write it from the ones that you have, because the shipping company also has their own list. Cross check. Those are the things that we've placed there. But for whatever reason, this auntie did not do all of those things. And so I checked the cost for shipping back to the UK. I apologized to the customer, because sometimes, not every time, customers are always right. I apologized to the customer, and I told her that in 7 days it's going to be delivered. Of course, that same day we had to ship another set to the UK for her. So I asked this person, because she had done that mistake before and we had bared the cost. So I asked her what happened, and she was like, I did not see this. I did not see her taking seriously the process that we've put in place. And I was like, so what's up? And he was like, I forgot. It was a mistake. I said, okay, no problem. That's fantastic. You did it the other time and there was no this thing for it. So right now, that's what's this amount for shipping is going to be deducted from your salary, because I mean the money has to come out from somewhere. If it was Nigerian shipment now, it's something, but it's an international shipment, you know. And since that 5 months ago, even local shipment is not, there are no mistakes. There are no, it's just their brains are extremely sharp, so, I mean, that has been done and that has been put in place. People waking up to say that they don't want to work anymore. I mean, that happens in Nigeria a lot. But one of the things we've also done is, I mean, if you want to go, we can't hold people. But we've also had people that have been around for maybe 7 years, which is not bad in itself. So at the end of the day, it's ensuring and managing people. People come and go, right? But notwithstanding, we also have people that have come to stay. And there are some people that we also feel that thank you very much for the time you've spent with us. But it seems we are on a different level. We appreciate you, but you have to go for the success of this thing. Because we do what's it called? Quarterly. We do oh Jesus, what is this thing? Yeah, we do appraisal. Yeah, we do appraisal. We do appraisal by yourself. You score yourself, and then there's also someone else that also scores you. And then we also have, like I said the other time, community is very important. In our community, in my community, I have HR person. So if we have like a new employment, have a place to fill, we have a contract employment HR person that is in-house that handles that process, so it makes it quite easier for us to just get the right set of people to fill in the this thing. Then we also have accountant that looks at our books that make us realize that if people are spending money on what you're not supposed to spend money on, how is this thing bringing in money for you? This product, it seems it is not moving well. Why are you still producing this? So we have all of those checks and balances in place. We also have business advisors that we speak to from time to time that wants to see that the product is doing well, and they also bring in business opportunities for us. So those are the things that we've done in that we've put in place as an SME. Now, for the women, beyond buying from them and the capacity building, we also provide equipment. In 2023, was it 2023? We provided an equipment. So there, if you're threading shea butter, for instance, you can't thread maybe like more than a 10 or 20 kg per time. And sometimes when I go to those communities, I thread with them. If you check my Instagram, the first two pages or the first two posts, you see something on shea butter on it. So in doing that with them, for me, for the next 3 days, my hand is spinning me. And I thought of it, how can we increase their capacity? So we got an equipment that can increase their capacity. They can thread about a 200 kg of shea butter within 30 minutes. So that in itself reduces the time. They have time for other things. Their health is good. Aside from that, we reach out to each other. My supplier sometimes he just calls to greet me, and I'm like, I beg you should not disturb me. When their child gives birth, we send gifts to them. We get some things from our from our community. clothes and all of those things, books, we share with them. We it's for us, it's more like their family, even though, we have all those village family members that you're saying things to. So it's just about also prioritizing them and making them know that they really matter in the business. Sometimes we even take our product to them and say, I see how you package your product. And they are super excited, to see what they do not value as it is. Some of them don't, before now, they don't really value. They are just like, oh, Asha and Shay, I think forward that, like we are just using it to while away time, but we are able to make them see that, see this thing that you carry. I remember something happened in 2020, just immediately after the lockdown was eased. I just won the best beauty brand in Africa at that time. And so we were supposed to travel to France, but we could not go. So they sent in representative from France to come and do like a documentary on the brand. And I told them, I don't want you to come to my space. I actually want you to spotlight the women that are in the bottom of the pyramid. And we went to one of the communities where we source our African black soap. They were super excited to see me. It was more like an homecoming for me. They had made pounded yam, they had all this. It was so beautiful. They had made pounded yam, they had gotten people to come and sing. Even the guys that
Yes.
came in from Paris were like, oh my god,
Okay,
are you
who
a
are
princess in
you?
this town?
Who are you?
It was just so beautiful. And as little as having a drone in that community, they were scared. They thought it was a bee invasion when the drone was. And I was like, no, 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 they're just taking a video of you. And they were so excited when the video came out. I showed them. They were super excited. Like, well, hello, Joe Amora. See us on TV. They were super excited. But beyond this, is also seeing how they are able to care for their family. It's also seeing them building also a community. So the other day I got products from them before there is an increase or immediately there's an increase in the market or there is a likely hike in the price of anything, they call me first and that, Sissy, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, because most times they call me Sissy or Auntie, oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah, come and buy more right now. Can you make payment today? If I tell them I cannot make payment today, or maybe like next tomorrow, okay, we are sending to you because by tomorrow they have already done a meeting that they are increasing, they're increasing the price and all of those things. So that in itself, for me, it's satisfaction. Knowing that these women have my back, it is a big deal. So I'm not caught unawares, as it were. They have my back, I have their back. It's not a one-way relationship. It's basically saying that they genuinely, and there was a time even in the business that things were not really going fine. They kept calling and I'm like, well, things are not going fine. They called and they were praying, like serious prayer for the business. In fact, one of them said that, I'm going to the church right now to go and sit down because, when it is good for you, it is good for me. And I'm like, wow, that's really, really sweet to know. And so all of those things adds together, and I think it makes a lot of sense that we are just in that beautiful relationship.
It does. Wow, it does. Wow. Wow. I mean, so so beautiful to behold. Though I wasn't there, but I can picture what that scene would have looked like, right? With the white guys around, and they would have like, okay, what exactly are you? Are you
I'm
a
telling you, I'm
client,
telling you,
or
it was just beautiful.
is it more than buying from them, or you understand? Are they more than suppliers to you? But I think you've been very intentional about it, and I think it's telling in the way they relate with you and in the loyalty and the love that they're giving back, because it's not just about what you're doing for them; it's a ripple effect of that on their kids, on their family, on their community. So again, thanks for all that you do. Now, this is my final question. Final question. Right, final question, and then if you have any final words for our audience, you can also share. If you have to do all of this again, right? What is that one thing or two things that you would do differently? Yeah, that's it.
Okay, if I would have to do it again, I would have done it more fearlessly from the beginning than, saying, okay, let's just while away time. What will be. It's basically about taking it by
Hmm.
the
Like
by the
storm
horn
from
and
the
just,
body hardware from
going,
like storm from the
yeah, and just going all out. Yeah, that
hmm.
is it. Another thing I would do is probably putting up structures earlier and not just carrying the whole weight all by myself, because there was a time that it was really tiring and I was like, okay, this is not even looking like it. But you know just having that people leveraging on the people that are around, because sometimes we look down on, we don't, it's not like we look down, we don't pay more attention on people around us, but God has placed amazing people around us that we are just allowing to just stay there, and they are ready to help even without even asking for something. Even if they would ask for something, you can also appreciate them, so paying attention to people around me and just maximizing and just being deliberate about them more, um, that would have enabled us to scale more, and probably maybe saying our brand storytelling well, do more of brand storytelling. I mean, we are still learning on it, but it's something that we are looking at doing more, that we should have started, because sometimes you just realize that even the people that you feel that are out there, when you buy their products, you realize that your product is actually working better than them, but they are making the loudest noise anyway. So being out there would have been something that will be something I would do again. But
Different.
aside from that, nothing else.
It's
I'm
been a
grateful
fun
for the
ride.
support. I'm grateful for the support. I'm grateful for the gifts of men that God has placed
Mm,
around my life. I'm grateful for my spouse, for his
mm.
extreme support. I'm grateful for my parents, and I'm grateful for every customer that's, trusted us from the beginning. Even when we didn't know what we were doing, they were just buying it with love. Some people will even buy and share with their families and friends. There was a time that there was just only one person that was buying consistently every month. I think when we just started, the only amount we were getting at that time was just maybe like she was buying 5,000 every month, and that was the only source of revenue at that point. So I mean, I'm grateful for all of those people in our lives. But anything we'll do again, just go fearlessly, just do it, and just do it. Yes.
Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. I guess that's even good enough as a final word to our audience, right? That they should go fearless, right, and go more aggressive. Take the bull by the horn and take it by storm from the word go. Thank you so much, WC, for all that you have shared today. Right, we can't pay you enough, right? Uh, I mean, because look at it. How many people will listen to this and will just draw a lot of courage, a lot of strength, a lot of wisdom from all the things that you've shared. So thanks a lot for coming on the adventures. It's really a pleasure to have you around.
Thank you for having me. I'm so grateful.
Hey, thanks a lot for taking the time to watch the podcast. We are super thankful for you taking that time and investing the time to learn. We hope that you find the story inspiring, and beyond that, that you've been able to articulate one or two things that you want to do differently in your own entrepreneurial journey. May I encourage you to please like, subscribe, comment, and please share the word within your own circle of influence, especially within those that you think are on the same entrepreneurial journey with you. May I also encourage you to please, beyond subscribing to our YouTube channel, follow us on our other social media platforms. That means a lot to us, and we can see that that helps us to track that we're making some progress and so making some impact. Thanks a lot once again for taking the time to watch, and we'll see you on the next episode.